So Goodyear sits in the West Valley, which is one of the fastest growing regions of the United States right now. And you have been on the council, or you were on the council long enough that does it feel like you built a city from scratch almost? And there's so much further to go. Can you talk a little bit about as well where do you see Goodyear going in the next 5 to 10 years, just as far as growth?
We did. We grew a city from nothing. It takes rooftops to bring the retail. It takes daytime population to bring some of so all these little building blocks start to add up, which creates some of the frustration that we all have about traffic and whatnot. Um, but we also reach a point where we should stabilize. And I think we're kind of there now where we can really reevaluate where we're at and where we want to go. Now, having said that, um, some of it is out of your control because the private market moves very quickly when things are going well. Um, 16, 17, 18, 19, things were on fire. You could not, you were in the way, um, and you get swept up in it. The same thing happened in um, three, four, five, six. We were just steamrolled by all the development that was happening, and you couldn't keep up with it. So the fallacy that we have, and here's the reality of it that no one's talking about. We go, oh, we're only 15% built out, so we have a lot more to go. The reality is we don't have water for the 85%. So we are in in reality, we're probably more like 85% built out.
This
And
is the first time I have ever heard this.
yeah, because nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to talk
Well,
about.
I've asked about it and you can't get straight answers.
Correct. That's the frustration. So I actually talked to somebody this morning, and I said, look, I had an office in City Hall, and the old expression, you can't fight City Hall. I said, I had an office there and I still couldn't fight it because as a council member, you're still not, and I mean, I think you know this, you experienced it a little bit. You're not really directing or pushing anything. It's coming from the mayor's office and it's coming from the manager's office. And the two will work in conjunction with one another to try to push the direction forward.
And this issue of water, because I did go to council a couple years ago and I said, look, your own meeting minutes here, your own files say there's no water. Why are you approving these huge projects? I mean, to me, it's really concerning.
So there's there's water. The 100-year assured plan takes us through, um, I don't want to say build out of Estrella because the boundary of Estrella Mountain Ranch is pulled way north now. There's water through that. So everything's good.
Okay.
What and I I'm going to say Harvard was smart enough to sell off the land south of there because to bring the infrastructure for water and sewer all the way down is really cost prohibitive. So they sell that land off. They go from there. Now, that's City of Goodyear controlled water. There are private water providers that have water supplies that will service that. Um,
Okay.
I think it's Epcor and American Water are the two I think that have, I'm going to say, rights in the Rainbow Valley area. They have water to bring down there, not a problem. City doesn't want another private water provider providing water. Like we have Liberty north of the city. They want to be able to control it, and that's great in the past, but going into the future, my personal opinion, I don't think that that's going to work. So the assured water supply process is one of the best in the nation, and it is holding us in check. But to continue the fallacy of we're only 15% built out, I, I think that's wrong. And we need to be a little bit more upfront. And I share your frustration when everyone goes, well, we're only using, 50% of our allocation from the Colorado River, so we're fine. Well, when the Colorado River allocation gets cut by 50%, and now we're using 100% of our allocation, we're not fine. I mean, water is, I mean, there's a finite amount of it. So um, that's all in the calculations and whatnot. So when we talk about development, I think we really need to be a little bit more honest about what's happening and where we're going. So Harvard has put together some really good plans. They're really forward looking. They're trying to maximize what can be built, what makes sense to be built. Of course, they've got a shareholder group to report to, but they're probably the most proactive of the private development that we've seen up there in a very long time. And I'm encouraged by. So when they say, "Hey, we're going to take," and they're not calling it King's Ranch anymore, they're calling it something else, but we all know it as King's Ranch. We're going to take King Ranch and we're going to develop that. They're doing that very, very responsibly and very, very smart as well. But it's a good infill. You bring water to that, which then allows you to bring water to the net, or water already runs through it, or the sewer lines already run through it. It's very becomes economical for the city to maintain because we're not going another 20 miles south, and it's just the same thing with the Mobile area. The guy who bought it when he bought it in 2011 or 2012 after it came out of bankruptcy said, "I'm 40 and it won't be built in my lifetime." I kind of believe him.